the first head coach firing has happened. Matt Rule has been fired by the Panthers. It happened very early Monday morning. Well, late Monday morning, not really early, like almost Monday afternoon. In 2020, he signed a 7-year, $62 million contract, and he only lasted 38 games, in which he went 11-27. His starting quarterbacks during that time was Teddy Bridgewater, who started 15 games for him. Sam Darnold, second most starts for him at 11 games. Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield both started 5 games for him. And Philip P.J. Walker started 2 games for him. In his 38 games, he only had Christian McCaffrey healthy for 15 of those games in his 3 years of being a head coach. Now, Carolina, they've looked bad. They also have the second richest owner in the league, who he has money, he's willing to spend it, and he's kind of already shown that he's not willing to waste any time. He wants to win, and he wants to win now. He'll pay whatever price he can to do that. And he said that the lack of effort was extremely minimal this past week, and he was kind of tired of seeing it, and that's what led to the firing. I think there was a little bit more than that, but Steve Wilkes will serve as the interim head coach, and he will likely be without Baker, he hasn't officially been put on IR, but he's expected to be out 2 to 6 weeks, which means he's going to have to turn to P.J. Walker because Darnold's not healthy yet. The quarterback they drafted this offseason, and Matt Corral, had Liz Frank foot injury in the preseason, which led to him being put on IR for the entire season. So Steve Wilkes has his work cut out for him. Carolina's in a bad spot, though. They don't look good. They don't look like they're going to be that competitive. They have good young offensive pieces in DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. They also have Robbie Anderson, but they don't have an offensive line. I think it's time for them to unload and possibly restart the rebuild. Nate, with so many of those players, this is a team that doesn't look like they're going to win a bunch of games. Should they just fully jump in and just realize that tanking is going to be what they need to do? Because they need a quarterback, obviously. Should they tank for the first overall draft pick to land CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, they don't have a great head coach at this present moment. They don't have a great quarterback. I mean, we haven't even seen Matt Corral play. I didn't even think he was the best quarterback in that draft class. So I'm not sure exactly what they'll do if they don't rebuild. I know Christian McCaffrey's value, even though he's injury prone, it's really high right now. So I would bank on that, trade on that. I would trade all your wide receivers. But I think it's time to go into a rebuild. After you fire your head coach for not performing, Baker Mayfield is your starting quarterback. That's your best guy, and he's Baker Mayfield. So I would just say yes. Probably it's time to go into a rebuild. For the Cowboys, I think try to go after DJ Moore. So I know there's a lot of teams that want those pieces and probably will trade in a bunch, like Buffalo. I mean, we were talking earlier before the show that Buffalo wants Christian McCaffrey. That would be an unstoppable duo, And then there's a lot of other pieces that they can sell for draft picks and stuff. But I think it is time for go rebuild in Carolina.
Yeah. Just saw the note that I have on my computer. I have an unmute in-stream sticky note on my computer so that I remember to unmute myself. But they have some veteran, they have some good wide receivers. Terrence Marshall Jr. is another wide receiver on that roster. He's a young piece. I don't know if he's going to work out. I'm sure teams would like him. Dallas could be one of those teams that come calling. Green Bay should call right now for Robbie Anderson. Oh, yeah. A guy like Robbie Anderson on Green Bay would be extremely helpful to Aaron Rodgers. And I know bringing in a wide receiver midway through the year is not necessarily ideal. We saw it last year be successful with the Rams with Odell Beckham, but that's a very high-level, talented wide receiver that also has a good football IQ and was wanting to win at the time, and that's why he won out of the Browns. And his quarterback at that time, when you look back, was Baker Mayfield. And Odell Beckham Sr., Odell Beckham's dad, was right about Baker Mayfield. He's not good. He's shown that he has been put around a roster that's not anywhere near as talented, and he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this year. And it led to Matt Rule being fired. But that's tough for Matt Rule. He can make $438,000 every month for the next 4 years if he wanted to, based on the salary that's left that the Carolina Panthers have to pay him. He's living the dream right now. But Matt Rule is going to be up for pretty much any coaching job in all of college football just because he has that reputation. So shout out Matt Rule for getting even more millions of dollars probably in just a few weeks down the road when college coaches need to be hired.